Arinbjorn Gudmundsson was born on May 22nd, 1932. He passed away in 2014. I don't have a month or day there. He was an Icelandic chess player. Later, in 1970, he moved to Australia. He learned to play chess at age 17, relatively late for a strong player. He achieved good results in chess tournaments and was one of Iceland's leading chess players from 1955 to 1970. In 1954, together with Friedrich Olafsson and other Icelandic players, Arinbjorn founded the first chess magazine in the country. Oh, by the way, this particular game is featured in Bobby Fischer's 60 Memorable Games. So if you get that book, you'll see Bobby's own commentary and notations on this very game. What an honor to have one of your losses featured in Fischer's book. Arinbjorn Gudmundsson plays d4. And of course, you all know what Bobby's going to play. Knight f6, the Indian game. Arinbjorn with knight f3, the knight's variation. And Bobby, who usually plays the King's Indian, we've seen him tinker around with some transpositions, and here's such a case. Transposing to the Queen's Pawn opening, symmetrical variation. We've seen him play some East Indians that transpose to Queen's Gambit declined of late in the last tournament or two. And who knows what this move is called? Too bad Shark 101194 isn't in the room. Or are you lurking there, Shark? Shark 101194 used to play this move all the time. Curley's system, named for Edgard Curley, who lived from 18 May 1897 to 19 April 1932. He was a Belgian chess master, Curley was. He scored excellent results in major international tournaments, including a first-place finish at Amsterdam in 1926, finishing ahead of the likes of Savieli Tartakover and world champion Dr. Max Erve. He was first place at Meran in 1936, and that was a pretty strong field as well, featuring players such as Esteban Canal. 2 times he won outright at Scarborough. Those were in 1927 and 1930. And again, strong company there, Marozzi and Rubinstein. So, quite a player was Curley. His career was cut short, though, by ill health. He survived 3 difficult operations for a gastric ulcer, but he died after the 4th at the age of 34 in Ghent. Hans Kmoch wrote that Curley was not sentimental. He bore his sufferings as something quite private and of minor importance. He asked for no special consideration. He was always in good humor and a boon companion in company. But at the board, he was a relentless fighter, guided by a really ideal sense of duty and sportsmanship. End quote from Hans Kmoch. Curley's system: g6 from Fischer, c4, bishop g7, and now knight c3. Constant Ferdinand Bury. We have transposed to Bury's variation of the Grunfeld defense. Bury's variation. What do we know about Bury? He was born August 30th, 1866, died October 1914. Bury was a member, get this, Bury was a member of a group of Boston chess players and theoreticians who formed a loose chess association they called the Mandarins of the Yellow Buttons. Apparently, Mandarin points to China, where the yellow button was an insignia denoting rank in the Chinese civil service. These men were amateurs who had won their game on even terms against professional international champions. The members of this group met on Saturday afternoons to play and discuss chess, after which they would dine together in the evening. Bury had won a game against Henry Bird in 1896. Bury's variation of the Grunfeld defense. We castle. Queen b3 is the Vienna variation. And e6, and this is a name you better know. Botvinnik's variation. Yes, world champion Mikhail Gudmundsson, sixth world champion to be exact. He lived from August 17th, 1911 to May 5th, 1995, a Soviet and Russian chess grandmaster who obtained the title on 5 occasions over the course of 3 separate reigns as world champion. He also worked as an electrical engineer and a computer scientist, and he was a pioneer in computer chess, much like Robert Byrne. He also had a mathematics degree. Gudmundsson was the first world-class player to develop within the Soviet Union. He also played a major role in the organization of chess, making a significant contribution to the design of the World Chess Championship system after World War II, and he became a leading member of the coaching system that enabled the Soviet Union to dominate top-level chess during that period of time. Gudmundsson's pupils included 3 other world champions, Anatoly Karpov, Garry Kasparov, and yes, Vladimir Kramnik. Gudmundsson is often described as the patriarch of the Soviet chess school, and he's revered for his analytical approach to chess. Gudmundsson's variation, pawn e6, now bishop e2 from Gudmundsson. Here Bobby played knight c6. That's not the usual move. Usually b6 is played here. And after castles, we get bishop b7, rook d1, then queen's knight comes to d7. We get bishop d2 and pawn c5. In this game, we had knight c6. Queen c2 was played, pawn takes pawn, bishop takes pawn, pawn e5, equal position. D takes e5 here, knight g4, castles. Queen's knight takes e5, knight takes e5, knight takes knight, bishop e2, pawn c6, opening the diagonal for the queen. I really preferred to get my last miner out of bed. Let your bishop and your knight lead in the fight, and you can always bring your queen out this way. For example, if now rook d1, queen h4 seems reasonable. I said rook d1. I moved to rook e1, but now that I mention it, rook d1 is also valid because it hits the queen, but still same thing, it's just different, queen h4. All right, c6 was played here. Pawn f4 hits the knight. The knight goes back to g4 under the watchful care of the queen's bishop. Pawn h3 says, get out of my house. And what move does Bobby make? He plays bishop f5, hitting the queen. e4 interposes and is marked as a mistake. Queen d1 being called for. I was thinking queen b3, attacking the b-man. That gets a check mark. Meanwhile, this knight is still en prise. But e4 was played and frowned upon because it opens the a7 g1 diagonal and allows a check. Queen d4, king to h1, knight f2 check, rook takes the knight, queen takes the rook, pawn takes the bishop, bishop takes the knight. Wow. Do not play the empty checkmate threat. I know what you're thinking. Hey, this is checkmate in 2. Not so fast, Lee Corso. The rook defends as soon as we play bishop d2. And look at that eval bar. White is much better in this position. And this is important to understand because beginners in particular and intermediate players and even some advanced players love to go after these petty threats. Oh, it's checkmate in 1. Yeah, it's worth looking at, but identify the continuation and note that the continuation is a refutation and don't play there. The correct move, the one that Bobby played, bishop takes knight. Pawn takes the bishop, and f takes g6 is looming here, which would be pretty strong if allowed to be played. Rook a e8 here. Super attacking the bishop. You might wonder if the other rook is more appropriate, but it's literally the same thing. It's just different. It doesn't matter if we start with the king's rook or the queen's rook in this example, because the same moves will be played. In the other line, we'll see these same moves. Bishop d3, rook e1, check, king h2, queen g1 check, king g3, and then the other rook comes over. So in this line, the queen's rook ends up on e8. In the line that was played, the king's rook will end up on e8 with the same exact sequence of moves. Bishop d3, rook e1 check, king h2, queen g1 check, king g3, and now rook f e8. So the only difference is which rook ended up on e8. And now this is a winning move, or this is a winning move. Either or should be winning. You can move either rook now to e3 for victory. Well, rook b1, therefore, is just a mistake. It says f takes g6 should be played first. So f takes g6 is going to be answered by h takes g6, and then rook b1. Yeah, but as you can see from the eval bar, it's really inconsequential. So anyway, rook b1 straight away, and Bobby takes the f-man with his g-man. I guess the point is he's coming here. I see. Is that really your plan, Bobby? I was not expecting that. It's marked inaccurate. Rook takes c1 is the move recommended, and that's a very interesting move. Okay, so he'll take my rook, and I will play, as mentioned before, I'm going to play rook e3 check, and that gets an exclam, and after king g4, my pawn comes to h5 with check. King has to go to h4, and now my queen can come to h2, and this is looking good. And if queen f2 defending against queen g3, well, that's undefended. The queen itself is now undefended. Notice this piece relationship right here. So that means this pawn is pinned, which means that this pawn is unprotected, which means that I can take it with my rook. Oh, yeah. Double exclam! Check, baby. Oh, yeah. And on king g5, let's grab that bishop right there. So, yeah, rook takes c1. Not played by Bobby Fischer. Instead, pawn takes the pawn. And I'm assuming he's bringing one of his rooks to e6? I don't know. Is that the idea? Bishop d2 played, marked with a question mark. Now, this is calling for bishop c4. I was going to comment on pawn c4. The problem with bishop c4 is it uncovers e4. If you play bishop c4, e4 is now available to my rook, right? Yep. I was going to comment that c4 is answered by rook takes the bishop as well here. That gets a double exclam. That's two double exclams. And after queen takes rook, now rook e3 check, just like in the other line. I'll probably get a lot of double exclams then, because the theme is the same, it's just different. It's the same thing, it's just different. King h4, queen f2 check. We get king h5 here, and then queen takes the f-man, right? And we're just winning here. Clean win. Well, here bishop d2 was played, and Bobby rook takes rook. I still like the idea of putting one of my rooks on e3, either one. Oh, ho, ho. Double exclam, which means that rook e3 is also going to be a double exclam, so I'm about to get 4. My point is this: after bishop takes the rook, the other rook takes the bishop, which is why it doesn't matter if I start with this one or that one, because they both come with check, and again on king h4, queen h2. So it should not matter which rook I start with, so I fully expect a double exclam right here, and I do. 4 double exclams with the same exact continuation here, 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 and here. 4 double exclams. Oh, you gotta love it. Back, 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 back. Bishop d2. Rook takes the rook. So Bobby gets an exclam. Either of these double exclam. He's winning either way, isn't he? And there's no wrong way to win a chess game. Queen takes the rook. Queen takes the queen. And Bobby, the king of simplification, is really what's going on here. Bishop takes the queen here, and he's not going to have time to play the king to f3 and stop my rook from coming to e2, because I'm playing it right now. Boom! And this bishop is trapped, and so he resigned. He cannot move here or here because of my rook, and he might look like he can move here, but that sets up a peace relationship. The two bishops can be skewered. So, in other words, bishop to c1 is answered by rook to e1, and you're going to lose one bishop or the other. Want this pawn? Sei meinen Gast. I will pick off your dark squared bishop, or if you save your dark square, I pick off your light square. Bada bing. Bada boom, game over. Let's look at the numbers. Feel pretty good getting 4 double exclams right on top of each other. Bobby Fischer, an accuracy of 97.4. Single game rating, 3,000 ladles and jelly spoons. Wow. Great game, Bobby.